Jason here, and today I'm joined by Paki, Flavia, and Bob, and
Hello.
we're just gonna be hanging out and drawing, taking questions,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to add them. So we had so many good topics we wanted to cover this stream, and we just couldn't decide which one was the one we were gonna settle on. So
So our
yeah,
first topic today is what to do with an overwhelming number of ideas and topics.
yeah,
What do you do?
how to like clarify things when you have a lot you want to say and you just sometimes I mean that's how it is for drawing as well, right? You know, you have a lot of characters on in your mind and you're not sure which one should I pick. Like I was talking to Bob earlier today about OCs and kind of like is it a good idea to crystallize your thought process into um, a specific character? Is it better to leave it open ended to have themes? I don't know. What do you guys think?
What?
Open-ended to have theme? Hmm?
Um, yeah. Uh, Kilimine says, hello. Uh,
Hello.
hello with two O's right back at you. And Swan says hello also. And Mate says, hey guys. Hey, how's it going? All right.
Greetings.
Greetings. Yeah. So, hmm. So lately, I've been like second guessing everything I've been thinking about in videos and stuff, and not the content, but the way I say things. I'm really nervous now that I will say stuff that gets misunderstood because I just have the wrong approach to saying things. Like, so what I'll do with conversations is I'll tend to start with a statement that I think is like true, but it's not necessarily indicative of what I mean or what my beliefs are. It'll just be like a true statement, and then like, oh, I don't think all people are equal. And then it's like, okay. But then I treat it like, okay, and now I'm going to explain what I actually think, or I don't think people should focus on practicing an art, something like that. And it's like, okay.
Hmm.
And then I intend to explain it, but what often happens, I'm finding, is that there will be uh, this thing where people will take what I'm saying, kind of assume like, oh, I know what he's talking about, and oh, he must mean this. Like, oh, you should never practice. There's no good in it. There's nothing good that can come from it, and stuff like that. And it's like, no, but I've got to learn how to say my ideas without saying the part that gets misunderstood. Um, is there a
How do you do
Magma
that?
Studio this week? Oh, yes, there is.
Oh,
Thank you for reminding me. Here's a link. Uh, themes like. Okay. Micah asks or says themes like when a character wears different outfits and hairstyles and expressions to match different aesthetic vibes, like that sort of open-ended theme. Yeah, like kind of what it is you like to do. So, for instance, maybe you like very steampunk designs, and that's kind of where you like to draw. Is it important to create a character that sort of like I wouldn't say even represents, but just personifies some of what you think, and then you work within that character? Because in a sense, characters end up being their own thing outside of whatever you create. So that's more what I meant.
hmm. Which is rather than just like projecting your own like ideals or self or interests into characters, like having them be sort of like their own independent person or thing or what?
Well, I think it's as opposed to not really clarifying the characters as characters at all to begin with, like treating it more like you only focus on sort of like aspects of ideas, but like for instance, I'll just use Flavia's marmots for an example because it's just easy. So let's say you have the marmots. Okay, do you make a specific marmot that is a character? So it's like, oh, this is this marmot. It's not just any marmot. It's like whatever the marmot. Or do you treat it like, no, that's not essential that you do those things. It's more important that you just keep it more loose. So, talking to Bob, it was more like, okay, he does things. He does have like repeated. Sometimes it's mannequins, sometimes it's clowns, things.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay.
Motifs, I guess.
Yeah. Is it better to. There was a Jacques, something Detective Jacques. That was a character, right?
I remember that.
Yeah, but he's not been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Well over a decade.
Yeah. So it's like that. Like, what do you gain from making something into a character as opposed to just leaving it so it's like, well, I like these things, I like this aesthetic, and I just draw that aesthetic. It's not attached to a character or a story. It's just an aesthetic I like.
Well, because more and more with the Azet or whatever, I constantly think, oh, I should have a story and I should do all this stuff, but like I find that I kind of like just, at least so far, having him be his own thing. It just doesn't, like, it can be anything just because he's like fun to draw and like has my preferences for style and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it would be cool to have a story and like a background, but also then it removes the like utilitarianism of it. Like it can fill any role.
I'm not even thinking about story. I'm just thinking about name. Like you name the character. Like yeah, like there's a difference between Azet if you named. I don't even know what's the correct gender pronoun.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. If you named Azet or if you didn't, it feels different because when you have, it feels like a person. I can say, oh, that's a picture of Azet, as opposed to that's a picture of Alpaki's tastes and interests crystallized into a character that is being portrayed in this moment.
So like the one-off characters that I'm doing in like random paintings and stuff. So what you're saying, like a character that only exists for like the purpose of like an aesthetic thing that has no name, versus like.
Yeah, like what's the difference between when you name characters and think about them in that way versus when they remain sort of. They're like sort of kind of something, but not fully. They're not realized in the same way. They're not given this is a character. You know, what's the advantage and disadvantages of? What are the advantages and disadvantages of that?
I mean, the disadvantages is like, for example, with some people on the Sycra server, if I'm drawing like one of their characters. There's more of I sometimes will just be like, oh, I like your character's design, and I'll like sketch them and stuff. And I found frequently people are like, oh, well, like that's not technically canon, or like the character wouldn't do that, and stuff. And it's like, oh, like it's less multi-purpose, I guess. But also it's hard because for some people, like I think Flavia was talking about how the name doesn't even necessarily make it a character for her. I think you were discussing that at some point. Like the names don't really.
Yeah, but I think I might be weird in that. I think I might be a bit unusual in that. For me, names are really difficult. Not just for characters, but for people that I know. And even for myself, I don't really respond to my name. To my name, I have to make a conscious effort to react to it as normal people do. So, because I had to make one character that is like OC, but I wasn't really the one who named him. I just like saw an opportunity and ran with it. It's like, all right, his name is now Perfect. For me, the difference between the Perfect character and Marmots is that he's fixed, and the Marmots can, like, they're more of a concept because they're a collective concept. They could be almost anything. So. If you give them a name, it comes with a, like, oh, a name is given within a social group to someone. They have relations with that social group. They behave a certain way. They have a history. So you're kind of like adding on to their character sheet. Whereas if you just the marmots or the mannequins or the clowns or whatever, it's more ambiguous. So you can be a lot more flexible with it.
I think that if you have a character that isn't like a character, I guess they represent like an idea more so. Like it's just, if you have a character that you is recurring, but it doesn't have a name, it just becomes a motif. Like the marmots are a motif, and I guess they could just represent something about. I'm not gonna like psychoanalyze the marmots, but
you can. I suppose I don't mind it. You have a theory.
I do not have a theory. I am not well versed in marmot psychology.
Marmot.
But I guess it's more so like if you, I don't know, say you had a character that like wears a mask all the time, and they're like recurring. They aren't anyone in particular, but it's just like some masked character that someone thinks looks cool. It's probably that it represents some idea of like, oh, who knows, maybe being like a fake self or having some like alternate identity or something like that. And to have it recurring is just to have that be the like a recurring thought in the artist's mind versus it being that there is some story or that it's a consistent it stops being an idea when it becomes a person, right? Or when it becomes an actual character. I mean, the character can still represent something, but it's less. It's more into like the storytelling than it is the like visual language.
Yeah, I think the visual part of the marmots is bigger than the visual part of Perfect because it's all set. Again, for me, it's a lot more rigid, and then you do what you want with a story, whereas the marmots are more like props.
Yeah, because there's so much artwork out there that's just people drawing and painting these different ideas. It's literally all it is, I guess, to convey a message more so than to, you know, represent whatever story. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere with this. Who knows?
Should I take some questions?
Sure. I'll take all the help I can get.
D-Man asks, if you were given the task to make a drawing/painting that would be seen by every person in the world at least once, what would you draw and why? That feels like such a big responsibility. I would have to think on that for a long time, too. I would want it to count if it's going to be... And I would want it to be something that's, like, sort of good for humanity that it's there.
Yeah, because it's tempting to just be like, oh, I would do something that really, like, expresses myself, that is, like, you know, really meaningful to me, that I wish other people would understand, but it's like, that's... when it's the entire world, it's like, that's irresponsible. You have to, like, I don't know, find some key political problem or something and try to.
Or maybe you
raise
don't. Maybe
awareness.
that's the whole thing, is that no, you should be like, the best I can offer the world is me, and that's it. Like, I can't offer them some guidance or greater statement or anything. And maybe that's actually the part, is like, well, actually the most you can do is just that thing of this represents me.
Hmm.
I wonder about that. I think that's kind of how it is, where what represents us the best is really just that thing that we have that's unique to us, and we shouldn't be trying to do anything beyond that.
I find I never connect because with people that try to do like broader political work or something like that, though, like I feel like it's much more effective if somebody tells me their life experience. Like instead of saying, "Oh, like this form of government is bad and all this, there was this dictatorship or something here that's not good, and this is what you can do to help, and here's all that." And it's like I feel like that doesn't really work. At least I know there's some people that to them they're like, "Oh wow, this is really educational." But to me, instead, if I like watch a movie or read someone's like autobiography or like listen to someone talk, most commonly,
Mm-hmm.
and they just explain their story, that's a much better way of. It makes it a lot more effective. Like I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
understanding their position. So maybe, but. And the question is like, what position do I have to say that would like, well, not what position do I have to say that would be useful, but if I just said my general life position and like my thoughts about the world, would it end up being useful to anyone or not? Like maybe, but I find it hard to imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, what do you actually have to contribute to the world? Does it really matter? Maybe it's just too much. Maybe it's like, it's not supposed to be seen by everyone. It's more like, well, if you like this thing, you might have, I don't know. Like, let's say you have very specific tastes into something, and you go to specific niche, I don't know if there are websites anymore, Reddit threads or whatever they use to find that. Okay, well, chances are anyone else who's interested in it will also be there. So you're not dealing with just like, oh, the world. You're dealing with specifically these people who already share these interests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think natural discovery of those things is probably valuable.
Mm-hmm.
A time and place for those different things, and I don't know if just beaming it into the minds of the people around you would really be useful. I mean, maybe to like 10 people who are in a similar life situation to I was would like read some deeper meaning of some piece I worked on for a long time and be like, "Oh my god, this is the answer." But I find it hard to believe. Let me see. I'm going to go to Sapien Pug. I don't know how to say your last name. If you could transport into a world where you could become or be among any character you thought of, do you think you would still draw in that world?
You mean, is it, or the reason you're drawing is specifically to create that, and if you didn't have to create that, you wouldn't? Is that the thing?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's
No,
a
for
pretty.
me, I would draw. Definitely. I'd still draw. It's not just to create a thing, it's also a means of self expression. Like, I think I would draw even if no one saw what I drew.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if if the self expression is consequence of a yearning, so to say. Like, well, you yearn for a different reality, or and then if you get that reality,
Yeah.
what? I wonder. Oh, if I if you were to reincarnate as the fantasy self that you draw, let's say you were drawing a fantasy self and you reincarnate as that, what does that self do? Do they draw another fantasy self, or do they just draw what they see around them because they're now living their fantasy? Or
Well, I think there's also just the act of drawing as an act in and of itself, like without needing any kind of explanation, without needing any justification. Just like I draw because I like to draw. Like I like moving my pencil or whatever. I don't know.
I feel like also it's just one of those things where, like, if you were teleported into some world where all your fantasies that you've been drawing for years are a reality, after like a while, you explore, you're gonna just probably settle down somewhere and like need something to do, and it'll be very normal to you to see the things that you used to be like super excited about, and they become a little bit less special, and maybe you just like, I don't know, maybe you go to like some sci-fi planet because you're like, oh, I wish I could live in some sci-fi world where there's all these giant robot creatures and all this stuff, and then you get there and you're like drawing a random cottage in like from back where you used to live on Earth, and like some plants and stuff, because all you've seen is machinery for so long, and all it smells like is gasoline, and you're just like tired. Maybe you'd like just yearn for something else.
I mean, if it was a sci-fi planet, why would it smell like gasoline? But yeah, I get the idea.
Do they not have sci-fi? Maybe, I don't know. Do they not have gas in certain sci-fi?
I mean, the dystopian, apocalyptic, Mad Max type futures, but I don't know, is that science fiction or that's just like, is that its own thing? I don't know.
In my science fiction, there's gasoline stuff.
Okay. Let's see. Mate asks, are y'all working on / looking forward to some fun projects? I mean, I'm always working on projects, but yeah, what about the rest?
I'm not working on anything. Sometimes I draw. The end.
Yeah, that, what he said.
Same.
Yeah, this is demotivating, probably.
I mean, well, I'm actually creating a giant epic fantasy MMORPG all by myself, one man, making the art, the music, everything for it, definitely. I don't know.
Oh, yep.
10 years into it, it'll release tomorrow.
Okay, so Josica asks, what time / era was art at the height of it being the most profound tool for man's inner world expression in correlation with the outer world, of course? Also, do you think need for art in society differs as we go through different times in history? To me, it seems now people in need of art are the ones who draw, while the rest of the world seems to be under a lot of dirt of saturation of media and pointless things. I mean, people use art all the time, even when they don't know that. It depends on what you mean by art, because like if you think of any product, it has art built in the sense of like product design type of art, though, but there's still art there. So if you mean art with like a capital A fancy, then yeah, I suppose it's a bit different. But I was reading. You were gonna say, sorry.
I was just going to say that I was reading an art history book a little while ago, and basically the thing it talked about is just that art without a capital A is like it's a lot of different things, like even just body decoration, like to, show that you have a bunch of bones on you, you've killed a bunch of animals, you can provide food, whatever, like art has a lot of different ways that it can be useful. I don't think it's going to like completely lose its need in the world.
Mhm. Yeah, in terms of like looking at a specific time period, time or era where art was at the height of being the most profound tool, I don't know. I don't know that I'm not sure it ever was the most profound tool, but at the same time, maybe it has been for a while. Because it's dependent on, like, for a blind person, art is not going to be the most profound tool for expression. But I don't know. Because I think Flavia and I both have kind of like a romantic idea of late 19th century stuff. And I think Flavia's goes earlier as well. And for me, it's sort of like there's like a peak of skill almost in the late 19th century where it was like we've got the Bouguereaus, the Sargents, people like that. But then would I say that is the peak of storytelling, for instance? I would say I think Norman Rockwell was better. So then it's like, okay, so what do you value now? And you end up talking more about individual values, like as opposed to what is actually good. Because the thing is just too broad of a subject. Like, what do we mean by art? What do we mean by people? Like, everything needs a definition and it gets complicated. Mate says, damn, I was expecting you guys to have some fun personal projects you are excited to work on, but that sounded rather depressing.
Damn it.
Oh no.
I knew it. I think there's a, I don't know if you have it too, Mate, but there's a pretty widespread burnout kind of thing going on, where I don't know why, but collectively it seems like we're a little bit spent. So sorry for sounding depressing, but I think it'll resolve. I think there's just a lot of stuff to process in reality. So if you think about art as trying to express reactions to the world around you, I think it's still processing. I don't know.
It's such an like uncertain time that even if your outlook is like positive, I feel like just things are confusing lately. I think there's
Yeah,
just hard to know what direction to go with a lot of different things.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the there's this weird expectation that's built up over years of, especially if you're interacting with people online, it's a lot easier to start with the assumption that they're having a great time all the time, nonstop. And there's also the expectation of trying to deliver that because you don't want to get people depressed and you don't want to bring the mood down and stuff. And it's like, well, okay, so there's a lot of repression on both sides.
Yeah. It's like the North American everyone must be happy at all times thing.
Yeah.
And we want to... I found it interesting that this is sort of the focus, and I've seen it expressed in terms of my own viewership. If I'm extremely positive about a thing, I will get way more traction. No matter what that thing is, just being extremely positive seems to be like something people are drawn to as on the whole. But for myself personally, I'm not. Like, I was more drawn to people who were like telling it as it is more, as opposed to being like overly positive about something. So I don't know.
I think you built a lot of your viewer base based on that. Just that you would have a lot of times like CSPP and stuff where you were.
Yeah, but that's not how I built my viewership, because if you look at actually my viewership is
true.
built around I think how to draw eyes, how to draw like iterative drawing, things like that tend to be the ones that actually built my viewership.
This is my bias based on the people in the server, because that's the viewers I think of, but I'm forgetting that like the casual Sycra viewer is like, simplified leg anatomy.
Yeah.
By the way, for anyone who's watching this, who is not familiar with the server we're talking about, we have a Patreon server that you can join to talk and do stuff, and a Discord. Okay.
And everyone there is super interesting and cool.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think I'll ever get used to this promotional stuff on.
Yeah, it's hard, but the thing is, I don't even think about it as promotion. I think of it as informing, so people just know about it, because they might not. It's not like, oh, here is a thing and you can join, but more like, if you like these talks and you tune in every week, or even if you just show up and listen to the stream, if you've listened to, how long have we been on? It's like 30 minutes. So if you're 30 minutes into a stream, you probably like our rambling. So if you want more of this rambling, you can be a YouTube member or a patron. And then you can have more of the rambling.
Yeah, I guess it's good.
It never stops.
Just to let people know it exists if they're interested. But I think the having to do it, it just feels like it's all part of the same thing.
Yeah, see, Keegan J says, true, I didn't know about it.
Oh, okay.
At least one person confirmed my theory. Because I wouldn't know about it. It's like, it wouldn't even be the first time where, oh yeah, you've been posting again, you've been streaming again. So it's the 17th stream or something. And they still don't get it recommended, so.
It's the 17th? It's the 20th, isn't it?
No. I mean, on the 17th stream, I remember we got some.
I see.
Like, oh yeah, you've been streaming, you're back. I've been back for a while. I don't even know what marmots would look like on a TV.
On TV? What's separate from regular marmots and TV marmots?
Well, the TV like makes you look fatter and stuff, and there's distortion and whatever. So now I have extra issues that I'm trying to think about.
I suppose. Geometrism? Got any advice for accepting yourself and pulling out ideas that are unique to your personal experience? Also, should artists worry about their art being too insular at some point?
This is a thing we've talked a lot about.
Yeah. Do you wanna take it, Alpaki?
I can give it a shot. Okay. So let me read through this again. So I think the first thing, I don't think it's necessarily bad to be insular. Like a lot of the work that I like is very insular work from people that I know, and they're like unique experiences. I think insular is only bad if you're like, if you notice that it's driving you crazy to be like sort of stuck in your own head for a long period of time, and to be reflecting too much. Because it's one thing to like take an hour a day and like be very reflective and think about things and try to note your position in life and all this stuff. But then like to be doing that for 6 hours or 7 hours or something when you're just like working on huge pieces all the time. I got kind of burnt out of doing all the insular stuff that I was doing. But for accepting yourself and pulling out ideas that are unique to your personal experience, I think it's different for everyone. What make this easier, for me, it was finding people that I was comfortable with, so that I could like discuss ideas back and forth with them and like not be afraid to make and like post this kind of stuff. Because if you are just around people you don't really get along with, it's going to end up that you're trying to have your ideas conform to what you think other people will like. But if you find like communities that you can bounce your like excitement off of, I found that worked for me. And then also, I think I've mentioned this a couple times, but I made like a Twitter, and I was trying to do this thing where I figured out like what my tastes are. And so I was very selective with like, I would only like, retweet, and like follow things if I really was into them and like it really like spoke to me or something. And after a while of being very selective and blocking 1,000 people and all this stuff, I was like getting really interesting stuff and then what I did is, okay, these things interest me. Just blatantly, okay, what is the stuff I'm interested in? Going through my likes. Oh, I like this, I like that, I like this. These are the things that are meaningful to me, and then just producing the work that on a very like technical basis you like. I think I also talked about at one point that I was trying the AI thing once to see like how it worked, and I realized that at the end of trying it didn't make anything that I liked really. But at the end of trying it, I was like, oh wait, but I have a prompt that basically just says all of my interests, and why don't I just like make this, like just draw this? And it ended up creating some of like my favorite pieces, just to sort of literally write down what are the things that interest me, what are the concepts, or like really try to do something like that. Yeah. And
I think that's very good. I think that's a good thing to get out of using a tool that you end up not liking, but sort of at least it gave you an opportunity to introspect.
Yeah. And then the thing too is that like it's also about finding your niche, because if you like don't accept yourself and you don't accept your interests and your niche, you're not gonna like be viewing and engaging in that kind of stuff. But the more that I was looking at the type of stuff I'm interested in and being honest about the type of things I was interested in when someone would ask me, instead of just saying, oh, you know, I like this generic thing that everyone sort of likes, like being like, oh, I like this thing that is actually something I'm into. I found that more and more people actually like respond well to that stuff. Like I made this, I don't know if anyone knows what Team Fortress 2 is, but I made this drawing of this really big buff guy from TF2.
Yeah, I remember that.
With like it's supposed to be this like very strong manly character, but I gave him like a tutu and a dress and all this like goofy stuff. And I posted it. Yeah, and I posted it on the subreddit of like this game that's like notorious for having like, this is someone from the community saying this, notorious for having like a pretty toxic community. And even they were like super into it. They're like, some of them are like, oh, this is terrible, but they were like laughing along with me more so than against me. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's terrible, I love it. And I don't know, it did very well. And I was like, oh, just doing what you're into, it can get you places sometimes. And you make friends because people will be like, oh, you like this too? I guess I'll respond. Response. I spent the last few years pursuing a specific subject matter, mathematical objects, polyhedra, tessellations, etc., but it doesn't really resonate with anyone from what I can tell. I guess my problem is I don't think people like what I like. But I feel like I know. Go ahead. I've been granted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also know people who would be into this. I think it really depends on what circles you're going in. Because if you're kind of like if you're coming to an art stream and trying to talk about that, chances are you'll find way fewer people than if you go to a different crowd and talk about that. But I think finding people who overlap with your interests in more than one field is difficult and rare. And I think having an expectation that you will find, having a hope that, oh, maybe now, I think it might hinder you. I think it might, because personally, I also have quite a bit of trouble finding people who like this and that other thing and are interested in this. But for me, common interests are not high up on my priority list. I think common thinking patterns or maybe common values or but with actually different areas of interest, I find those more enriching personally. But I don't know, I'm probably in the minority here.
A thing I've found on the server that's also good for this is if you sometimes say you have niche tastes and you struggle to find people that sort of get what you're doing or are interested in those specific pieces that you're making, the thing that helps sometimes is just like forming relationships where your interest in the people that you're friends with is transcendent of your own tastes. So you're so interested in that person, their ideas and their thoughts, even if they're contrary to yours or don't really align, that you become invested in their work because you're invested in them as a person. And then that can happen for other people with you too. So like if you try to find like a friend somewhere who just doesn't even like art or like maybe liking art would help just in a general sense, but doesn't really like I guess it was like let's see, polyhedra, tessellations, etc. If they are invested in you as a person because they're your friend, they can become invested in it just because they're like, oh, this is your evolution as an artist. That's cool. Oh, you're really, I can tell you're improving even though it's not something I'm really interested in. It's like, wow, you made it interesting despite it not being something I would normally look at. Like I have that with a lot of people on the server, that there's stuff that they make that normally I wouldn't look at on like Twitter or something, like it wouldn't be in my feed. But when they make it and they explain like their thought process, I become invested, and then I can like give them the connection that they kind of, or vice versa to me, that they kind of want.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think because I operate like that. Because if I just see something, a bit of information floating without context, it's not really relevant to me. So if I have some use for it, I'll pluck that and then add it to my memory or something. But if it's about someone I know and I'm already invested in, it becomes part of a story. So it gathers more meaning as it goes.
Yeah. Let's see if there's just did we take a one ducks composition question? I don't think so. I've been trying to understand composition in order to communicate an emotion or story with a single picture. Any tips on how to do this, or some books/artists you could recommend for composition?
Yeah, there's a book called Framed Ink that is very good for composition. I would recommend that one specifically. There's a series by the Etherington brothers called How to Think When You Draw, or something like that. How to think. Something how to think, draw. I'm sure you'll find it.
How to think, draw.
That also has some tips. There's a bunch of. I'm sorry, I don't remember everything off the top of my head, but there's there's definitely Framed Ink is probably where I would start. Okay. Doorframe says, the drawing without a purpose made me think of humming. Making songs is the equivalent of visual finished pieces. Humming can be beautiful because it's in the moment. Yeah, I think there's so many reasons and ways of thinking about art that when someone tries to sort of clarify it, sometimes it does it an injustice because you're just missing something else. It's like, oh, art is, and then they say it, and it's like, yes, but it's also not that. It's also more than that or different than that. Like, that's a part of it. And so I'm just very hesitant, I guess, to embrace everything in terms of, like, this is what art is, or even this is what I think. Because even what I think is like, well, yeah, but it kind of depends. It's not always the same, so I don't know. Paideia asks, positivity bias is a real thing these days. I think it's been a problem, but what do you think? I think for people who aren't from North America, it kind of does feel like a problem. When I've spoken to people who are from North America, it seems a bit different, but the Europeans tend to have an understanding of the issue with it.
Healthy Europeans.
I don't think of it that way. Perhaps the opposite. Anyway, yeah, I think it depends. I think it's like, personally, I think it's a problem. Because I think it's like, it shouldn't be either extreme. We need both positivity and negativity. We need positivity, I feel, to hope for the future, to appreciate what is good, and to not, like, fall into despair and a pit of, oh, what can be done? Nothing. It's all hopeless. It's all pointless. I hate that type of thinking, that type of, like, jaded, oh, nothing can be done thinking. But you also need the ability to criticize what isn't working, so you make change that actually is meaningful, that, like, well, it all can't be perfect. If it's perfect, then how do we improve? So you kind of need to be able to accept that things could get better, and maybe things aren't as nice as we like to imagine they are.
But then again, I'll just say on the topic of positivity bias, as a person from North America, a lot of the people I know are obsessed with negativity. Like, they wake up, they turn on the news, they listen to, oh, this political person did this and it's terrible, and what does this country come to, and everything's doomed, and everything sucks, and
right,
we're hopeless, and they just listen to that for hours. And I don't actually hear many people who are like, oh, I was listening all day to someone talking about how the world is great and nothing's ever going to go wrong, and how everything's perfect. Like,
true?
that's nothing.
True, but I think these two things go together, because whenever I've encountered people face to face here, they force positivity. So then, if they're talking in a more relaxed context, they're gonna be likely to compensate for all that forced positivity. Like, oh, you turn it off. You turn off the, hi, yo, how's it going? How are you? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing great. How about you? You turn that off, and then you get back home, you're among friends, you're with your relatives, you're with people you trust, and it's like, oh my God, and I had to do all of this, and did you know that thing that, because you can't really, you have to censor yourself, you can't talk about what pisses you off casually with just acquaintances, so you reserve it all, you condense it all to places where you're more comfortable in expressing it.
I think by positivity bias, sorry, I was just gonna say that I think it was referring more to the forcing yourself to be positive as opposed to just like a societal issue in.
Oh, we got into like the societal thing, and I like ran.
That's okay. That's okay. No, it's fine. I was just clarifying that I think where it started was like the idea that it's like everything has to be in. Like, I heard this by streamers quite often, where you're not supposed to bring anything down, like anything that lowers the energy down, or you're not supposed to bring it up, because you want the stream to be something that people can escape to. Like, oh, you want to escape from your problems. You don't want to have other people's problems, you know, when you, like, oh, I just want to relax and watch a stream and feel better. You don't want to...
Well, yeah, because it's a commodity, right? A stream is not it's depersonalized. So you go there for a service.
Yeah, as opposed to like, oh, I enjoy this person's company as a person.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good and bad. Wow, that's so
Yeah, that's
cool.
more like how I see it.
The perspective of the thing is so cool. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, thank you. Let me see. I'll ask. Let's see. Grea Blood. Do any of you guys do music, and is musical creativity the same for you as graphic inspiration? And does practicing music look different from practicing art?
Yeah, I think some of us do music here.
I think actually a good number. Because I know you do, I do. I think Nick does sometimes. Brian Bunrab does. Addison does.
Oh yeah, on the Discord, yeah, there's a lot of people who do music on the Discord.
Yeah, Steve does it too, right?
Yeah, the thing is, for me, I purposely am doing music differently than art as like, okay, so with art, I really got into technique. I got into theory. I got into that type of thing, and it became it sort of became like okay, I know a lot and I want to do a good job, so I got into the theory part of it. And then I also was around people for a long time who were into music and into the theory part of it as well. But what I saw with art is that you would have these people that they don't really know theory. They sort of come out of nowhere. They just do their own thing. It's all wrong. And at first I was, when I was like 15, 16, 17, I would look at that and I would be like, oh, this person's not good. They're not going to improve because they're not even studying the right theory and stuff. And then later what I would see is like those people that don't really follow the rules, they come up with something a lot more interesting, a lot more original often. And it was sort of a thing I saw multiple times and eventually felt like, okay, there's got to be something here about not learning theory and then sort of just, like, it's called naive art, where when you don't have, like fundamentals or you're not trained or something like that. And so with music, I wanted to approach it from that angle of like, I'll purposely try not to learn theory too much. Like, I know a little bit of theory, but not much, so that I will approach it from that different angle. And like, okay, maybe what you make won't be super good, but it'll be interesting because you'll be doing something that's not usually done.
I think I approach it the same way with music. I just like try to. It's like a hobby for me. Versus, I guess art is still a hobby, but it's like the hobby I take seriously. But music, it's like, it's just music. You know, it feels more free form to me, and I just goof around. But I think I've talked in the past. I have the same thing where I really like the naive art stuff. Like, that's most of my feed on Twitter nowadays. People that just do whatever they think is like most fun and just have fun with it and do everything wrong and it comes out great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Adds, I'm struggling with practice versus rehearsal and separating those mentally. I think that's a bit specific to where you're at with music, so I don't have much to say, but that does sound like a difficult thing. Lokes said it looked like the monitor flickered when Bob changed layer. Interesting. Dorfrang asks, do you still attend art conventions and stuff like that? What are your thoughts on them? Anyone want to take that one? I personally don't, so I don't have much to say on it.
Same.
I've never been to one. The closest I've been is like I went to Comic-Con recently, and there used to be an artist alley, and now the artist alley is people that I guess Sakimi-chan paid to have like these big booths, and there's like 15 different Sakimi-chan booths, unless they're stolen artwork, and that was the whole artist alley.
Wow.
That's
except for like
different.
maybe like 20 people, and so that was very unfortunate.
I didn't know that was a thing. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if these things are like stolen or if she's paying people to do this or what, but
Interesting. Great. It says, I definitely see negativity a ton more, also toxic positivity, but that's different. No, that's kind of what I'm talking about with positivity, is the toxic positivity. Like, I think there's toxic negativity and toxic positivity, and it feels like right now there's not a whole lot of in between those two. Like, okay, that just not toxic. Can we do that? Like, just, let's not make it toxic. Because, I don't know, feels like you need balance for everything, and every conversation that I have seems to end up being a caricature of a point, but not really a point. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. How can I phrase this? Like, people are too eager to make a bite-sized quote from what you're saying and then caricaturize it and then debate the caricature of the point. I maybe I do that too.
I was talking to someone recently about this, about how it's like so many people do it because it's such a useful tool. Because if you want to get attention online for like a discussion or for like a YouTube thing, you just say like, is driving a car equivalent to murder? And it's like, what? It's like, and then they go on a whole debate about like, some people will take that and they'll be like, oh, well, I just was exaggerating when I said that. And what I really mean is like, do the pros outweigh the cons of like polluting the environment and doing all this stuff? But some people will actually just like, they're so used to hearing big, broad questions like that they think it's like deep to ask a question that is like super blanket and unnuanced like that. And then they will argue that. Well, at the same time, having the nuanced debate in their head, sort of, and then getting mad when the people that they're talking to don't understand they're having the nuanced debate in their head and they're just saying the extreme version. I don't know. It's very messy with the online world.
Yeah, I think we've had this happen before where people will take points and it's like, well, I don't even believe this point, but, and it's like, well, if you didn't believe it, why are you arguing it?
Yeah.
Living Vampiro says, hi Sycra, how you doing? I'm doing okay. Okay, not too good, not too bad. Somewhere in the middle. Gray asks, with practice and rehearsal, I guess I'm wondering how people make themselves separate those. I feel like, I don't know. When I think about that, I just remember people practicing and rehearsing a lot. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know that I have maybe someone else has a better viewpoint on it.
Could you take practice and rehearsal to say, like, if someone came in here and they said, I'm having trouble separating studies versus like full pieces or like finished works, and like what to do with that, because I think that's basically what they're saying, right? I'm not a
Yeah, I
huge
can
music
do it
person.
with art. I can't do it with music, but I have more clarity when it comes to art, where it's like, okay, I think with art, like, try to do what you want to do as if you don't, as if you know what you're doing already, and then once you encounter a problem, then specifically try to solve that problem with like laser focus. So whatever the thing is, so you end up doing applied um, practice, I guess, but it's very like focused, and you remember it because it's being used immediately, as opposed to something which is more like, okay, I'm doing this unrelated thing because I think maybe it will help me or someone told me to do it. So obviously, I think it's important to. I mean, maybe it's not obvious, but I think it's important to study, to learn, to educate yourself. I just don't think. I guess whenever I talk about practice, I'm talking about the worst form of I do this because I do this, as opposed to, or I do this because someone said I need to do this, as opposed to this is. Oh, Flavia, I think you got a little dot there.
Where? Oh no, you did. I see.
Um,
A blob, even.
Doorframe says playing devil's advocate can be fun and useful, though. I think so, but I think it's got to be something that's sort of announced, like that people know that's what you're doing, so that they don't take your thing a little bit too seriously, in a sense. Like, okay, this is, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but, and then, talking about things. Bob, your effect was very cool with the
Yeah.
teeth one. The way you
Thanks.
made that, very like those horror movies. Oh boy, I don't know how to say this name. Severe Itherdal? I don't know. You guys have a favorite tool/tools for doing art and why you prefer them? Yeah, I think we all have our favorite tools.
Yeah, I sure do.
Okay, and do you want to
Last
talk about what
tool.
they are and why you like using them?
Sure. So, for sketching, I have this particular sketchbook that I exclusively use. I guess I've been exclusively using a dollar store kids sketchbook for years now. And it's just the right size for me because I'm really, really small, and it's got hard covers, and it's just nice to hold and easy to grab, and I don't have to worry about it bending or ripping or anything like that. Like, it's very, very heavy duty because it's made for kids. So there's that, and I just draw in ballpoint pen. And then I found that I really like markers a while back. So I like to paint with markers, and I also really like encaustic paint, which is a combination of oil and wax and resin. So those are my favorite tools.
Yeah, I tend to like things that are very smooth, I guess. I'm like opposite
Yeah,
direction.
exactly. Opposite of me.
I like gel pens and things like that are just very smooth application stuff. But I kind of like some rough stuff, but like charcoal for me, I kind of like the effect of charcoal, but using it gives me like just the feel of it. I have like certain chalky substances which feel really gross to me. Like chalk on a chalkboard is horrible. I hate the feel of it. So I just have these like, I don't know what you call it. It's not a neurosis. It's a
It's the sensitivity.
yeah, sensitivity. That's it. I have a sensitivity to certain things, and yeah. But in terms of preference, I like things that have a thick to thin. I've really enjoyed G pens now. Not the real ones. I could never use. I tried to use the real ones, but I never got enough practice to actually learn how to use it properly. So I just digitally use G pens a lot now, because I'm really enjoying tapers. I feel like it's part of what I want to do with art. Gray says, yeah, with art, I know how to study, but I feel like it's totally different for me with music. I know for performance with music, there are a bunch of different methods, and one of the ones I was acquainted with was where you play extremely slowly, and you hit every note correctly, but very, very slowly. Like you're doing everything in slow motion, and you're just training your muscle memory, and then when you speed up, or as you go, you start to speed up, and then you start hitting the notes. But because you work very slowly and like painfully slowly, it's sort of the movements get better in a way. I don't know how to explain it. Random Thoughts asks, which artist inspired you guys as kids?
I guess I really like Rembrandt and Rapin's work. What I have. That's what I picked out of everything I saw around me.
I'm gonna sound like a basic,
Stuck-up person, right?
No, basic, because I like J. Scott Campbell, Joe Mad. I like Joe Mad a lot. Todd McFarlane, these comic book guys, I guess, were who I first gravitated towards. I like Jim Lee stuff a bit, but really it was like Joe Mad, and then Todd McFarlane, J. Scott Campbell, and Michael Turner were like my big guys that I really, artists I should say, that I really liked.
I liked a lot of people that worked on games that I played as a kid. So there's this one guy who makes these like weird vector-based art in, I think it's Flash Player or something, named Miltonius, and I liked that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Bob? Do you remember your early inspirations?
I think it was just anime, honestly. Dragon Ball Z, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like Akira Toriyama, or just anime in general?
I think anime in general, but when I was younger, I did draw Dragon Ball Z a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is the most common thing. It's gonna change, I'm sure, as the generations change, but definitely from my experience of asking people, I copied a lot of Dragon Ball is like a very, very common occurrence.
Well, they probably copied Naruto or My Hero Academia now.
I think even now those are probably older. I think we're...
Oh, yeah, they probably are.
Do you guys keep up with new anime like Naruto? What? That's old people's anime. That ain't new.
Oh no.
I don't even know what's. I think the newest anime, not anime, because I haven't seen the anime, but I saw Red Chainsaw Man. Is that new? I don't know. It's ongoing. I don't know if it's new.
So I can say for people like a couple years younger than me that I've seen in some art servers that I'm in, the common things they draw is people still draw Dragon Ball Z. That's still a thing. I saw that in high school.
That's pretty amazing. Like the staying power of it.
Well,
Yes.
they're doing new Dragon Ball Z stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like
Still.
the OG stuff.
Still, like, if you can think of it, it's kind of like a McDonald's. Like, wait, that's still that big. Wow.
And then like One Piece, and a lot of people do a little bit of like Chainsaw Man, and then what's that one where they like it's like the girl with the bamboo in her mouth.
Oh, Demon Slayer.
Demon.
Yeah, they draw the Demon Slayer stuffs too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Attack on Titan is also very popular.
Hmm.
I've seen that.
I think that'd be hard to draw though. Like imagine you're just beginning and you're like, I want to draw a Titan. It's like, well, actually no. Then again, if it looks messed up, it would just look like the actual show.
And wasn't the thing that he wasn't very good at art, and then he had to like train or study or something for a bit.
You got rejected a ton, right? Then.
Yeah, I don't know the exact story, but it's something like that. I mean, that's what I seem to remember.
He had his own anime origin story. Wow.
Jorand or Jorand, I always had the problem with the word study. Get me bad memories from school, so I prefer practice art drawing. Yeah, I guess it's true for different people. Like for me, practice is sort of like more loaded than study. But yeah, study also. Yeah, and I hated school, so there's like a built-in bias where just anything to do with school I usually don't like that much. Now we enter the stage where everyone's focused on what they're doing, so it's hard to...
Oh, no.
That's okay. I'm just letting the people know that's why we're not talking if they're, listening while drawing. Because I imagine a lot of people listen to these while drawing. And then if there's like a long pause, I suppose if they're drawing, they won't notice the pauses as much.
Oh yeah, I'm wondering about this for chat and the people who are watching this. How do you find out about the streams? Like, where do you see them? Do you see a notification that the stream is live? Because we put it up a bit before, right?
I
or
think if you do, because I don't, but I think you might.
Well, I do.
I get notifications.
For the text post, or how do you get it?
I get a screen that appears like in the notification thing, but it also pops out and it's like, yo, watch this. And the front of my homepage is also, it'll be like the very first video. It's like live Sycra.
Oh, I see.
Interesting.
So it's the one that shows up a little bit before the stream starts, right?
Yeah, I also don't even have the bell on, but I think that's just because I am like consistently looking at it for the chat, and so it thinks that like I'm watching all of them.
I see.
Okay. Paideia says they get notifications 30 minutes before and when it starts. Yeah, it's been weird because like we'll get messages of like, oh, I didn't know you still stream or something, but it's like recent but we've been doing this for such a long time now.
Maybe that's something like they only recently saw a Sycra video, like they hadn't watched you in a while, and then maybe they like saw a Sycra video, maybe an old one popped up, or like there was a new one or something, and they watched that, and then
then it got recommended.
Watch the stream.
Like, yeah, you're still interested in this bozo. All right. Pops up on my home screen. Get the stream in the home screen of YouTube, and you get notifications. Okay.
So it's okay. Yeah. So nobody sees the actual text posts. I see. That's good to know. It's very hard to know how the algorithm works and how it's changed and who gets to see it. So thanks for the feedback on that.
How many people get kind of OCD when drawing? Because I do. If I see something like misplaced, I get very anal. I want to correct it. And
Oh,
in videos, if I see someone like painting and there's like a mistake somewhere, or like they haven't finished a part, I get really like, no. What is it?
well, on one hand, I'm thinking like, oh my god, my stuff drives you mad. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking like the Nautilus should be more yellow. So
Oh. Well, initially I did it this way without the colors because it was supposed to be taking on the cooler light scheme. But this is very easy because I can just.
Yeah, we have to fix the knot. Leave him the wrong color.
Yeah, there we go. Well, can make it even more there.
Oh, look how bright he is. Getting his beauty rest.
Peacefully.
Who drawed the Chilean flag there? Is a Chilean too? Or is the Texas one?
No, it's Chile. Someone couldn't be here, so we put a placeholder. Oh.
For our fallen comrades.
It's not fallen. I thought he was having dinner with his family or something.
Fallen comrade.
Fallen.
Not one of us.
All right. Okay. Looks like we've caught up with the questions. So now we can just talk about whatever.
About whatever.
Introvert social skills start.
Just crickets.
I'm curious, is this the on the Soviet TV? Do those need to be colored, or is the Soviet
I don't
TV
know.
like
I don't know what
black and
the
white like
drawing
that?
is. Someone needs to fix it.
I thought that's the that's not the Nautilus.
Is it the little OC of the He Who Shall Not Be Named?
I don't know. I think we
If
went.
it's a Bob thing, Bob can handle it, right?
What's going on?
Is it a Bob thing?
What's happening?
Hold on, I'll circle it with green. This.
Oh, that's those are some of Nyx's characters, but I see how they could look iffy, so I can fix it.
Oh, I get it now. I see, it's two heads, right?
Yeah, but if the algorithm's gonna...
No, I'm not sure
like it,
about that. I think it just was not clarified enough.
Okay.
Like we're
Should I leave it
wondering
or
if
should
we
I
should change it.
Oh,
I think we're just gonna like do like what is, because they could just do this, I guess. There.
I didn't see it as anything weird. I still don't see what would have been weird.
Yeah, I don't see it as weird. I just see it as like, okay, suppose. It's not fleshed out in a sense, like.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Woo 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 woo.
Yeah. There's a woo.
We're just having an intellectual conversation.
Mate says, this is the best stream painting we've done. Well, thanks. That means we're improving, or, I mean, we as in they, because I'm barely doing anything, but...
You are.
It's
You
nice
are.
if there is improvement.
Yeah, I like the Sycra brand all-in-one, like Mac computer
Yeah.
or something.
It feels like it's hovering directly above him.
Yeah, it's
could I
gonna
work?
follow.
Could I work with that? Maybe. Okay, let's do multiply, and then. So
Ooh.
goes
Menacing.
Oh, thanks, Doorframe. Doorframe gave us a donation. Said, quick thank you for providing so much free content and advice over the years.
Thank you.
That is very
Thank
nice
you,
of you.
Dorfrey.
Door frame. That's an interesting name.
Yeah.
Yeah, add that depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, boy.
Poor Nautilus.
You're gonna get squashed.
Let's hope he used a stud finder when we hung that. Let's see what I have.
I like your infernal bathtub.
Yeah.
Your burning dungeon chain bathtub TV.
The
Bathtub TV.
cool thing about these pieces is because, so in this particular one, there's what, 4 of us? I think there's 4 of us. So my low self-esteem thing that automatically kicks in to be like, oh, I hate everything I do, it can't beat 3 other people who I like what they did. So it's like I only have like a 25% dislike of the thing and it's only my parts, but then because I have a 75% like of it, it's like, well, overall I like this.
I
You
see.
get hard countered.
Yeah. It's a way of like working on a piece, but I don't have to. I guess that's kind of like what it was like when we were doing K together, Bob and Flavia.
Yeah.
When it's like, well, I don't like my contribution to it, but I like your contribution, so I guess I like it.
Yeah, and I think because you're, if it was just up to you, you'd remove yourself completely.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, just
Yeah.
delete my thing. It's like, oh, can I
No.
get rid of my part of it? That's not.
Yeah, and
That's
there's
like
a
the
bunch
worst
of us
part.
who are, and there's a bunch of us who are countering because you're always, I don't want to be the captain. I don't. No, you have to be the captain.
Paideia says, here, Sycra has
Paideia.
helped me a lot. Paideia, sorry. Paideia.
Yeah, see. You would be putting up the Sycra stream and then you wouldn't show up. You'd be in the chat. Where are we going, guys?
I do the streams because I think it's, like, maybe this is what people want, because I don't know what I would want is to, like, crawl up and disappear.
No.
But
See, Mate asks, this makes me wonder, Sycra, what would it take for you to actually like your art?
I have liked certain pieces I've done, and they don't get any traction, and so I get this feeling of the things I like, no one else likes, and that's just the way it is. I've got some, like, very little traction, I guess, in terms of what I like, but there are pieces where it's like, oh, I actually like this one. And then, okay, is that the one people respond to? No, it's usually the ones where it's like, oh, okay, so the ones that are very rendered and stuff, yeah, those, sure, okay. But I don't know. The one thing that I've done that has had more positive feedback, I guess, is some of the stories. I guess tend to get more like general positive reaction, and I like my stories. I think they're good. But in terms of, I don't think I'm good at writing them. I just think like as ideas, they're good. But yeah,
They're awesome.
awesome is my
I
brother.
concur.
But yeah, I think liking your art has to do with it being authentic in a sense, and I think for so long I was, maybe I still am, too afraid. Like, okay, Alpaki is braver than I am in terms of expressing what he likes to a wider audience, whereas for me I tend to hide things a lot more. So I don't know. I think that maybe that contributes to, oh, you don't really like what you do because it's not really you. And maybe it's just people don't like false thing. I don't know. It's hard to say. Sycra would make Sycra merch with only his friends' art on it. I mean, it would be better if that was what I did.
No.
The funny thing about you saying that my work is braver is the reason that I branched out was because you're like, oh yeah, you should just do whatever you like, and you should learn what you like, and then you should do it. I'm pretty sure you were the one who was talking to me about that, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, great advice. And then, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, 4 minutes left. Woo! I'm
That's
sorry.
the final detail.
I'm sorry for wooing at certain things. It's just very, for me, it can be difficult to do things.
But I think it's for all of us, because I think maybe Alpaki's the farthest ahead of all of us. But if
I'm not ahead.
if you took us separately, none of us would be doing this.
True.
Like Bob wouldn't be on a stream. Oh, it's a Bob Meatbag show. I'm gonna do this of my own accord. No, neither would I.
Yeah.
I suppose if you put us together, we can make images.
Maybe that's a good selling point for working as a team and things, like just you get to do stuff you might not do yourself, or you might think like, I'm not really sold, but sometimes you get feedback and it's like, oh, this is a really good idea, and you're like, wait, what, really? I thought this was just a dumb idea. And sometimes I think like, oh, this is a great idea, and then the opposite, like, no, that's a dumb idea. But I guess it's better to find out from your friends than find out from like the public in general.
Yeah, and I think a lot of dumb ideas can also be great ideas. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think we'd be missing a lot of the room and stuff like that if everyone's like, yeah, this isn't a great idea, we're not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I know for me, I would never do this perspective, ever. It's just that Bob did a thing that had a perspective in it, so I had to. And
That's the thing. Yeah. Because I would say this is way too hard for me. If someone said like, oh, I've got this idea, and then they just explained what this image is, I'd be like, wait, that's going to take weeks to do. Like, there's no way. Which sucks to say, because it feels like, wait, really? Am I that negative about things? But I guess so. It just feels too hard. But then we keep doing them. Or not we, as in, yeah. But anyway, they keep getting done.
Yeah.
And then it's weird. It's like, how?
Yeah.
Because just looking at, even last time, it's like, wait, this got done in an hour and a half? Really? That's it?
Yeah.
I think this one even came together faster, even though it's more complicated.
Yep. We are getting more coordinated.
Yeah, see? Yeah, exactly.
I agree. But okay, so I don't get it. Why does laughter get censored but not barking?
Yeah, that's...
Okay, so because laughter isn't talking, but barking is speaking. But just it's in dog language.
Okay. All right, I'll buy
Pretty
that.
simple.
Check out Quase? Wait, I don't know. Check out the fan magma. It was fun. Yes, I always post the fan magma in the Discord. The reason I can't post it here is because sometimes there's like nudity stuff people have put in, and I don't want to get flagged for. It's annoying, but unfortunately this has happened before where there's like a little bit of like a misunderstanding and then whatever. So I do post all the fan ones later on, or actually right away after the streams are finished. I post them on the fan thingy. I mean the Discord, the Sycra Discord.
Yeah, you guys should join if you haven't.
But yeah, I'm looking at it and it is very inappropriate, but good.
For our eyes only.
Paideia says, also drawing on Magma with other people forced me to try different things with other people present as an influence. Yes, yeah. You end up like, oh, I'm not really, I wouldn't choose to do this based on my own taste, but it's interesting. And that happens as well when you're doing like projects like comics and stuff. There's, how interested am I in like burger related stuff? Well, not interested, I think, but then now it needs to be done, so okay. I guess I'm interested and have to do a good job on it, or try to do a good job on it. Are those the ViewSonic birds? On Alpaki's TV.
What are those? Oh, you recognize the
Oh,
logo.
I was muted from the thing. Yeah, those are the ViewSonic birds.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yay.
I was saying, but I was muted. I was saying that I really like whoever did the short black bob hair girl on the magma and all this weird stuff that's going on. I don't know, like the fan magma. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff, but it's cool.
Random Thought says, basically you all push each other to do better and try new things. Yes, that seems to be what's happening. And Paideia says, I think I kind of have the opposite problem. I get so invested in an idea that I think I'll be able to do in time against my better judgment, even if hard, and I'm almost always wrong. Sometimes sometimes it's more motivating to just do the harder thing, as opposed, like, I feel that way about most of the things I want to, like when I was learning 3D, doing harder things was always more motivating than doing easier things. But anyway, all right, guys, thanks to everyone for being here on the stream. I want to thank my special guests. I almost said Decro and Alpaki, Bob, and Flavia, and there was only 3 special guests today. Okay, it's okay.
We're extra special. Yeah. It's okay.
And we should thank Decru and Nick because they're here in spirit.
They died if we kept the original composition.
Hey, they're not supposed to know about that.
Oh. But yeah, I'll post that on the Discord as well. Okay. Thanks everyone for asking questions in the live chat. And if you're seeing this recorded, I hope you had fun, and thanks for watching.